Hi, I'm Morgan and my boyfriend Harrison and I are traveling Europe for 6 months. This video is different than any other video we have ever done. When we went to Sarajevo, the biggest draw for me was the history. I'm really into World War I and that's where it started. I didn't know anything about the Yugoslav wars or the Bosnian war, and I'd never even heard of the siege of Sarajevo. But while in Sarajevo, my interest turned completely away from World War I and onto the Bosnian War and the siege. In Sarajevo, the war is unavoidable. It only ended 23 years ago, actually, the year I was born. You see the remnants of the war everywhere, in the buildings that are pockmarked by shelling, in the monuments to the murdered children, to the video constantly playing in the old library that was burned, along with hundreds of thousands of rare books and manuscripts. But you can't even look away from it when you look down, because when you look down, what's greeting you is the Sarajevo roses, which are craters left in the cement by mortar shell explosions that have been filled with red resin to look like blood splatter to honor and remember the people who died in that spot by sniper fire. We wanted to understand this war, so we went on a war tour. There are some important things to keep in mind before you watch this video. Probably most importantly, this video is not meant to represent the whole of the Bosnian War. The siege of Sarajevo is just a slice of the Bosnian War, which is just a slice of the Yugoslav wars. War is not black and white, and I highly encourage you to read up on the whole of the war. I did not make this video out of hate. This is just our experience on this war tour in Sarajevo, along with actual videos from the war. I did my best to make sure that only facts are left in this video, but keep in mind that our tour guide is human, as am I, so it's possible there are some things off here and there, but it really spent a lot of time fact-checking. Our tour guide lived through the siege, so of course he has his own opinions and his own take on the war, but I think he did a good job just keeping it factual. He did not want his face to be shown in the video, so that's why it's blurred or cut out. I have watched countless amounts of videos on this war, and I know how the comment sections look on those videos. So before any trolls comment, I just want to say, I don't care where you came from, what your political affiliation is. Killing, maiming, starving, destroying the homes and lives of innocent people is an act of terror. And there's not even a word to describe how horrible. I know that Serbs and Croats were also unjustly killed and had their lives ruined in this war. But this video is not about that. This is just about the siege of Sarajevo. And either way, inflicting horror upon innocent people does not justify more horror on more innocent people. And if you are one of those people who actually think that this didn't happen, you can kindly go fuck yourself, and I'm sure there's a flat earther Facebook group waiting for you. Okay, just wanted to get that out of the way. Preamble over, let's get started with the video. Alright, so we are running pretty late. We're trying to get to this tour, this Sarajevo siege war history tour. We have 20 minutes to get to the place and hope that they'll let us in. So I'm not gonna say let's go. I'm gonna say Jankies?
No.
What am I supposed to say?
You're supposed to say something like let's go, but different. So
Off we go!
No, ta-ta for now.
Ew!
Or let's go, gang.
No! Bye.
Give you my knowledge about the siege and the happenings inside of the city of Sarajevo. I'm sorry, I'm speaking slowly because they have to translate. I'm so sorry.
No, take your time. It's fine.
If you look right now on the right side, here there is a marketplace, which was a place for the greatest massacre in Sarajevo.
A single shell scythed down the crowds of shoppers, leaving devastation and panic. The street was pooled with blood and littered with shreds of flesh.
So also here on this corner, 23 innocent civilian was killed by mortar shell in the August of 1995. Yes, on this corner. In total, 11,502 persons were killed in Sarajevo. The idea of the Serbs, of the people who surrounded the city, was to kill the innocent civilian in the city. So we were basically a concentration camp. So the whole city was like concentration camp. In average, there is 300 grenades every day was shelled on the city of Sarajevo. The record was 3,777 on the 22nd of July 1993.
Ovo što čujemo, vidim da se prepadaju Germani, drugi, ali to je uobičajena situacija za nas u Sarajevu.
On the right side here, you have a monument for the kids who were killed in Sarajevo. In total, 1,601 child was killed during the siege of Sarajevo.
Ova 2 dana nismo išli u školu rad masakra na Pašnom polju. Ima 70 ranjenih i 9 poginulih. To je žalosno, djeca sva.
On the left side here, you have a neighborhood, Grbavica, which was occupied by the Serbians. Serbians army was captured this neighborhood and captured a lot of civilians inside. So a lot of massacre and the mass killing was happened there in this neighborhood of Grbavica. So from 1992 till 1996, this was occupied by the Serbians, this neighborhood. So on the right side you will see those tall buildings, which is very damaged, still not repaired, because basically this street here was a front line.
The Serbs were the Orthodox people.
Yeah, they're Orthodox. Serbs is Orthodox
And the Croatian
Catholics.
And the Bosniaks
Muslims. Everyday struggle for the civilian in the city was to get some food, water, everyday's need. So they will have to cross this main street oftenly because electricity was cut off, water was cut off, heat was cut off, everything was cut off. So we didn't have any supplies except what we have in the city. So the people will have to cross this street plenty of times during the day, and that will be easy target for the Serbian from the hills, just in reach of the fire. So in total, around the city of Sarajevo, there is more than 100 howitzers, that is heavy artillery, more than 180 tanks, which is tanks, and we didn't have any of the heavy weapons inside of the city. At the beginning of the war, we only have 7,500 armed people with the rifles, not with the tanks, and like we didn't have real army, just territorial defense. All of those things was in ode of the Serbians, except one thing: they didn't know the city very well, and also they didn't have too much motivation to enter the city. And the people who were defending the city, they have pretty much big motives to save the city, because they have to grab a gun and protect the families, to protect neighbors, and so on and so on. As I said, that's the longest siege of a city in modern history. So 1,425 days we were under the siege.
Why were they shooting civilians? Like, what was the end goal of this?
Ethnic cleansing. Why we have, in the first place, why we have a war in Sarajevo, in Bosnia. At the beginning, we were underneath the Ottoman Empire. And when the Ottomans was gone from here, they took all of the educated people with them. And then we are underneath the Austro-Hungarian Empire. At that time, Serbian established the kingdom, and they said that all places in the Balkans where the Orthodox live, that means that land is land of the Serbs. So they have that idea of the Great Serbia. After that came Yugoslavian kingdom, and after that communist Yugoslavia. So they were suppressed, so they didn't try to make that idea happening. After that, we all start to go out from Yugoslavia because of the economical crisis, national movements inside of the Yugoslavia, Great Serbia ideas, and so on and so on. So the Slovenia was the first who were vote for the independence. After the Slovenia, there is Croatia as well. So the same path we choose to take. So we also exit Yugoslavia, and that was the ideal place for the Serbian to try to make the Great Serbia. So they claim that a part of Bosnia, part of Croatia, part of Montenegro, and part of Macedonia belonged to them. And we vote for independence, and they later occupied Bosnian land with the local Serb who live in Bosnia, and they have supplies from the Yugoslavian National Army to manage the goals. That's why we have a war in the first place, because of that idea of the Great Serbia. So the people were a little bit naive in Sarajevo, A lot of people ask me why you don't prepare yourself when you see what happened in Croatia and Slovenia. I will say the people were very naive here. So this city is very multi-ethnical and multicultural. So there was the Croats who were live here, Serbian and the Bosnian Muslim who were live here for the centuries, and they were live nicely and peacefully together among each other. And the people, of course, they saw that what happening in Croatia, they didn't believe that the same thing will happen here in Sarajevo, unfortunately. That's why we were catch on guard, not prepared, and we allowed them to capture the whole area around the city and to be in advance. So basically Sarajevo wasn't liberated to the end of the war. So we signed the Dayton Peace Agreement in the December 1995, which is mean that the war is stopped. But no, the Serbian was refused to go out from a position around Sarajevo and to retrieve weapons. So they still firing on the city a couple of months after the Dayton Peace Agreement was signed. So the NATO have to intervene and try to protect the citizens in the city of Sarajevo. You have 300,000 people who were still left in the city, and they don't have food, they don't have proper clothing, I mean nothing, everything was in shortage. I am as well the kid who grew up in the city and during the siege, and I were crossing the tunnel twice.
So how do you like cope with like, how did like parents and cope with having that environment for so many years?
My parents, they tried to exit the city, but we could not manage.
Right.
And the only thing that you have left is surviving.
Right. And it's just push through, I guess.
Yeah, you have to push through to try to survive everyday life.
Yeah.
And it was very, very tough because the shortage of the food, the shortage of basically everything, and the humanitarian aid was. I will show you in the museum over here. We get like canned beef,
expired food, right?
Expired food and things. I mean, it was very hard.
Terrible, yeah.
On the left side, you will see the runway. So the idea of the citizen was to cross the runway and to exit to the free territory, which is above these mountains over here. So the Serbian have bunkers from the both side of the exit runway, from the both ends. So if you try to cross the runway, they will see you and they will shot you. And also the people tried to cross the runway during the night, but because the United Nations soldiers was control the runway, they didn't know who is crossing the runway, so they will put spotlight on you, and then you will became easy target for the Serbian to kill you.
Did you say that you went through the tunnel?
Yes, I will go out from the city. We tried to find a way to exit the Bosnia as well, but we didn't find a way, and we have to go back in the city.
So the Serbians didn't know about the tunnel, obviously.
That is the main question that the people asked me. They knew it later on when the tunnel was completed, but they could not do anything because we were already getting a little bit more firearms and things.
Okay, so it had defense then,
Yeah,
so they couldn't break through. Okay.
During the siege, you didn't have school, nothing.
School?
So the education was interrupted.
Yes, but the people, they try to live normally as possible in the siege. For example, I'm born in '87, so I start my first grade of elementary school during the siege in Sarajevo in the 1994.
She says that's very hard.
Yeah, it was very hard because, for example, my school was at that time maybe 200 meters away from my home. But because that was very visible for the sniper fire, we have to go like 3 or 4 kilometers behind the buildings to reach the school.
What were you thinking, you as a child, when you saw all that?
For me, that was the only thing that I knew it, because I was 4 years old when the war was started. I didn't know too much before that. For me, that was whole life for me. Let me explain you this. We didn't have electricity, so we could not watch the movies, cartoons. We could not have entertainment, any kind of entertainment. So we didn't have like a possibility to exit the city, to go on a sea coast, to have that kind of entertainment. So for the child, that was the only life that he knew, the killings, the shellings and so and stuff like that. Your parents will try to protect you to don't see the full image of that. So you will not see every day, I don't know, killings and stuff. Your parents will try to hide that from you.
If you know what was the world like outside, like
How was the life before war? Did you try to?
yes, and in the rest of the world, like without wars.
We knew that the people was live like very nice and they have very nice life. But that's the only. But right now, that's something that is like a fairy tale for us, and we don't have opportunity to live in a life like this anymore.
Que me parece impresionante.
She's impressed by your capacity to go, to carry on in your life.
But that was like that during the war as well. The people tried to have a normal life as possible. So there was like couple of bars open. There was also like people will go out to have a walk with the girls and to have
like dates and stuff like
dates and
Okay.
stuff like that. The people tried to live normally as possible at some point because the siege of the 4 years is very, very long, and the idea of the people was we will try to live normally as possible.
Right.
For example, the Sarajevo Film Festival, which is one of the biggest festivals in this region, was established in 1993 during the worst year of the siege. It was established at that time. So also we tried to have a concert. Even the Miss Universe contest was take place in Sarajevo and things like that. So the people tried to live normally as possible. Theater was operational through the whole war. So the people tried to if you break the spirit of the people inside of the city, you break
Then
it.
you lose, right? You gotta stay psychologically sound, and that's the way to do it.
From this house you can enter the occupied Sarajevo, and this was the exiting point as well. We can now continue inside of the house. So, do you know the story about the Sarajevo roses? This particular one was killing 9 civilians who were trying to exit the house on the 7th of May 1995. This is the place where we start today's journey, and this is the place where the tunnel is. As you can see, it is around 11 kilometers distance. We drove this road. This is the neighborhood of Divac, which I told you about, which was the neighborhood which was captured by the Serbian forces. As you see, all of those mountains and hills around Sarajevo was occupied by the Serbians. So we are here now. So we could not reach by the road this spot here. So we have to go through the neighborhood of Dobrinja, which was Olympic City, and then to reach the runway to cross it. As I said on the beginning, people try to cross the runway just on foot during the daylight, but both ends of the runway was captured by the Serbs, so they will have clear shot of you if you try to cross it. Later on, people try to cross the runway during the nighttime, but also the United Nations soldier will put spotlight on you. Sorry. Put spotlight on you, and you will became easy target. So from 1st of March 1993 till 30th of July 1993, they decide to build a tunnel here, 800 meters long, 1 meter and 60 centimeters high, and 80 centimeters wide. Very, very simple material was used, and picks and shovels was dig. So this was the free territory of Bosnia and Herzegovina. So the idea was we have 300,000 people were just captured here, and this is the free territory of Bosnia and Herzegovina. So the Serbian forces, they already captured those two entering point to these mountains, to the free territory, but we managed to make this improvised road on the mountain, so we could reach still the free territory. The idea of the Serbs was to capture this mountain from the other side. So there was plenty of people who could defend that. There is plenty of people here, so idea first, why the tunnel was dig, to put those people from the city outside, to save the city from the outside. So they managed to do that, and later on you have abilities to bring the food, to bring water and the natural gas supplies in the city. Inside of the tunnel, when the tunnel was open, they put electricity cables, they put water cables, and they put natural gas cables as well. But because that was not, how to say, professionally made, it was just improvised things, so you have danger of collapsing the tunnel because of the natural gas and the electricity as well. So the main battle for the city was happened here on this hill here with the TV tower on top. So the aggression, the total siege of Sarajevo started on the 2nd of May 1992. That's the official date of aggression with the tanks, with everything, with shelling of the city every day. So the idea of the Serbs on the 10th of May was to capture the city from this hill and from this neighborhood to close it, to split it in half. The idea of the Serbs was to start the attack at 6 o'clock in the morning on the 10th of May 1992, but we managed those guys who organized themselves like a local people,
Militia, in a sense. Yeah.
Some kind of militia. They organized themselves and they attacked the Serbs at 4 o'clock in the morning and pushed them all the way back so they could never recover and never reach the hill again. Also, what is very important, this road, which is going from the city of Pale to this front line, was very important for them, this road. So this is the mountain of Trebević. We will visit this mountain later. From this mountain, the idea was for us to capture this road and to block the supplies for them to this part of the front line. But because they knew about the importance of this road, they will put all of the tanks and all of the means necessary to secure this road. This is the Basta Track, which was also the front line. We will visit those two places. From these hills here, you will see later we are going up on this mountain. We will be around here. So from this place, they have a whole city on the palm of the hand. So everything was so close for them. Even the heavy machine guns was in the reach. This is maybe around 2 kilometers, just a gap. So you can fire on the city with all guns you have. So this river of Milatska, this is right now very dirty river because the industry and the pollution and everything. During the war, when everything was stopped, this river was very clean, so the people started using this river for the washing wardrobes and so on because of the shortage of water in the city. But the Serbians, they saw that and they put military poisons inside of the river so we cannot use it. The only two wells in the city was one here, which is brewery. So brewery have a well, and one was here on this hill. This one was always some kind of the front line, so it was very dangerous for you to get there for the water, and this one was in the downtown. For example, if you need water and you get here to get some water, you will be in a line to fill your canister with water for 2-3 hours, and you will be easy target for the Serbians. So what the government tried to do in the city, they will send the trucks with water supplies through the neighborhood so the people could fill the water, drinkable water for themselves. Also, the rainwater was used for the everyday use. Whole city was fit through the tunnel, which is 80 centimeters wide and 1.5 meter tall. So whole city. That was similar like you're feeding the 200 people through the one stroke.
Right.
Yeah. All of the major importance building in the city was destroyed at the same beginning of the siege. City Hall was totally demolished, set on fire 22nd of August 1992. The Olympic Hall was set on fire as well. Even the delivery hospital, maternity, was totally demolished in 22nd of May 1992. So they literally want to kill everybody in the city and to break the spirit of the people so they can easily get inside of the city. A lot of people ask me why they didn't use those tanks which they have to enter into the city. For them, that will be suicide. So if they send the tanks in the city, which they don't know the layout of the street and everything, you with the small rocket launcher will destroy everything. So they send like 2 tanks over here on the May of 10 when they pushed from this hill. They sent 2 tanks, which was straight away destroyed. On the 2nd of May 1992, in front of this building here, Olympic Hall, they sent also 4 armored vehicles, which was destroyed straight away.
When they explain the cities in history. They tell you that they usually do that, maintain the city but kill people. I want the city, but I don't want to destroy the city because I want that city. I don't understand why they attack every public place if they could attack the people's houses and then you have unit in a city and you have killed the people you don't want.
It was true ethnic cleansing. They tried true ethnic cleansing. So they want to kill everything that have any relationship with the Muslims, with the Jews, with the Croats. So those three things, which is not Serbians, that was the target. They will try to save the Serbian things in the city. If they capture the city, they will say that the Sarajevo city was Serbian through the century. So there was like no evidence of a Muslim population, of a Croat population, or the Jewish population. So that's the idea of the Serbians when they and also if you ask Serbians what happened here in Sarajevo, they will say that they tried to protect people, the Serbian people inside of the Sarajevo.
With this war and other wars that have had like ethnic cleansing like that, how do they tell the difference between one person to the next? Because everyone physically looks very similar.
So
you
will have checkpoints everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
You'll have, for example, on the 6th of April, when we pronounced independence, the Serbian forces said that they want to protect the Serbian people inside of the Sarajevo. So they will put checkpoints everywhere in the city. So when you, for example, want to cross from this neighborhood to this neighborhood, they will stop you and they will ask you for your ID. You have to give them ID. So if you have ID and your name, only different between the Muslim Croats and the Serbs, it is the name and the last name. So that's the only difference between us.
Right.
So if you show them and your name say that you're Muslim, you're Muslim.
Right.
You cannot deny it.
So were people making like fake IDs? Was that a thing that was happening? Or not really?
I don't think so, because there is plenty of other who can capture as well.
Right. Okay.
So if you have a couple of ID, you will be very suspicious,
right.
and they will kill you on the spot. And also, for example, the small places where everybody knew each other, they will know who is the Muslim and who is not.
Right.
So you cannot.
It's a small community.
Yeah,
right.
small community. For example, if you want to exit the Sarajevo through the Serbian territory,
there's no way.
no way, bro. Just no way. They will figure it out that you're Muslim at some point, and for you that will be over.
Right.
This is the improvised generator for electricity. With this you can power a couple of lights or the TV set. Petrol at that time was very, very expensive. So if you have this, you will not have the petrol to run it. So you will save your petrol for some important events. For example, if you want to watch news, but you will not cook on this because this could not produce any electricity for a heating or something like that. So this is very limited. So you can just maybe TV set you will run on this. So for everything else, the people start to improvise this too. Find some goods or shoes or books, wherever you can find, you will burn it to heat your water, to cook and everything.
Right.
Or to heat yourself. As I said, this will take you, I don't know, 2 or 3 minutes to fill. And if there are like 20, 30 people in front of you that waiting for the water, probably we will end up there for 25, 30 minutes, which is plenty of time on the open to be killed.
Right.
So in average, on every square meter of the city of Sarajevo, three mortar shell was dropped. So a lot of people lose their life just waiting in the line for the water, trying to find some food. So what happened on that marketplace, which I show you, the Great Massacre, 70 people was killed, that was during the siege of fire. So the Serbian will say, okay, we will not fire on you. People tried to live normally as possible. That happened on the 5th of February in 1994. People tried to live normally as possible. So that's marketplace, so they started to make some selling, buying things and stuff like that. So they knew that the people go out and they drop just one mortar shell and killing that much people. After that, United Nations and America, they said, okay, that's enough for the Serbians. You have to retreat your heavy weapons from the city. They give them ultimatum of around 10 days to take all of the weapons from the city. The Serbians refused to do that. What they did, they seek for the help in the Russia. They go into Russia with the President Boris Yeltsin at that time. They seek for the help in mean that they will send peacekeepers in Bosnia. So Russia will send peacekeeper after the 15th of February 1994 into Bosnia. So they send the peacekeepers, but those peacekeepers was there to help the Serbian to not get bombed by the NATO. So those peacekeepers, they just spread around the Serbians inside of around the city of Sarajevo, and the NATO could not do anything against the Serbs. So the Serbians, they continued to terrorize the citizens inside of the city for 1 full year after that. There was no civilian object that was not target for the Serbians. So the people will try to run in the basements and to hide in the basements as much as possible. Improvise like how to say, the households, they will bring the things which is in carabao or furniture and stuff like that, because your apartment is already burned out and you don't have anything. This table, you have a foreigner aid, which is this can in the middle. This is the beef can. This beef can was produced during the Vietnam War in the 50s, 1950s. At that time, 35 years old.
Yeah.
No one want to eat this, even dogs. This brown tin was very good. This is MRI from American soldiers. Very good, but very, very limited. It is very hard to get them. The cigarette was a very big problem. In the city, packs of cigarette at that time was around 10 euros. Batteries and the candles was very, very hard to find. So what will people do? They will capture the paraffin from the candles all the time and reuse it again and again and again, just to have some light in the house as well. If the bullets will not kill you, if the grenade will not kill you, this thing on the window could kill you very easily. This is improvised heater. When we get some natural gas in the city, when the tunnel is open, we get some natural gas in the city. This heater was just burning of natural gas. So you have the regular pipe and there is a like burner of the natural gas. If your fire was extinguished on that burner, the gas will continue to flow.
And that's poisonous, right?
Poisonous or detonation till the moment.
Right.
So all windows was replaced with a foil. So that was like normal thing to see. I don't know, there was no windows inside of Sarajevo because of detonation. But luckily, the things that the people were aware of, because everybody had to go in a military in Yugoslavia, everyone had to go in the military, so they knew the hazards of detonation. You have to tape your window in case of detonation, so the glass will not kill you. What happened to the windows? Because I saw that with my own eyes. What happened to the window when you have like huge detonation near you? So the windows pop up out, just like balloon go out, and then shatter inside of the room. And that's why you have to cover your windows with the duct tape.
And that's from the explosion coming from inside?
No, outside.
From outside, okay.
Yeah, because the explosion coming from outside, the pressure will find any, how to say...
Escape.
Yeah, but you will have like lower pressure inside of the house, and somehow that will all go out. And then when it's over, it will explode inside.
Reverses,
yeah,
right.
And I saw that with my own eyes, and I could not believe it. As soon as the occupation of the city was started, the people started to duct tape windows. And the people was very naive. They were thinking that the war will stop very, very soon. Even though, for example, in Croatia, you have a war that started like 5 months before in Bosnia, and still people were not preparing themselves to defend themselves against the war in Bosnia. It is very complicated war, but I will try to simplify as much as possible. So in the beginning of the war, we were together, Bosnian and Croats against Serbs. But the Croats will see the Bosnia could not defend themselves, and the president of Croatia at that time and the president of Serbia at that time, they managed a secret deal to split Bosnia in two. From 1993 till 1994, Bosnia fighting two fronts, against the Croats and against the Serbians. 1993, that was the hardest year for us, because we only have the weapons that we captured here. So there was no open borders or no open places that we can find the weapons. From 1994, America was put some pressure on the president of Croatia, so he had to switch side again, and we get again in alliance with them. We managed to clear parts of Croatia of the Serbs and part of Bosnia. We tried to winning the war, and then the Serbians seeking for the peace, and then after that we have Dayton Peace Agreement, which was not good for anybody in Bosnia, but more about that later. Okay, we can continue now in the house.
I've read that for some of them it was like I've killed more people like you today. A competition. Yes, the snipers have those competition, and they will like go around and they will
brag about
it. Yeah.
Jesus.
That's kind of army, and that's kind of enemy we have against us. Where was killing of the innocent kids was good thing. Just one very simple fact is enough for everybody to figure out what kind of enemy we have. 1,601 child was killed in Sarajevo during the siege. Of that number, 500, more than 500 kids was killed by the sniper rifles. So there were the target.
Right, intentional, right.
Intentional. You see who you're shooting.
Right, exactly.
So just to have idea what kind of enemy we have against us, I think that fact is the best. There is also the interview. You can easily find that interview on YouTube where the Serbian guy who was a sniper and he was bragging about killing of the kids, and he said, when I killed the Muslim kid I felt great because it's a Muslim kid.